All right. Are we really here, guys? Sean, by the way, Blue Ridge Silverhound, you guys know me. But September 28th, the last Pocket Change Market Report, I'm sure, for the month. So we're going to talk about it. The end of September. What does it bring us? What kind of coins are you guys finding out there and selling? That's a great question. Again, we talk a lot about, some of the errors and varieties and some of like the good date coins that you could find out there in circulation today. And not only that, another great way to find inventory to resell on eBay. Real simple. Go into the shops, go into the shows, cherry picking like we did here the last few days. With great success, you will find some coins that you can monetize off of and truly make this into like a great side hustle. This will complement your daily 9 to 5 perfectly. And that's something how I got started before I began to kind of make it full time. So like I've said before, typically when we talk about the coins on this list, they're a great representative of what you don't need to grade. Grading costs money. If you could keep that in your pocket, you're going to do yourself a whole wonder of better, making more money in this particular case. So we're going to take a look at all these coins, all within, I'd say, from the last day or two. So the prices are up to the minute, up to date. You'll gain an idea of what the market looks like currently. Good news, it's still doing very well. Before we get started, quick little shout out to channel sponsor Whatnot. By the way, did you guys know that if you sign up today, you get $15 off your very first purchase? That's what the power of the Blue Ridge Magic can do for you. And you can do that right now. We do shows every week. It's a great community. People talk, if not to bid on coins or add to their collection, it's a great place to discuss the hobby. And a lot of folks are getting the answers they need, about coins that they might have. Consultative help, all by simply going to the Blue Ridge Silverhound channel on Whatnot. And, the extra added bonus of the $15 coupon, that savings is immediate. You could use the QR code right on screen, but if you don't dig on QR codes, guess what? We got the old-fashioned way of doing it. We got the actual hyperlinks down below in the description box, but we will also have it pinned in the comment section of this video. Come join today. Come visit us. We go live a couple times a week. We just came off a huge coin show kind of campaign, which spanned 4 days. A lot of great activity, a lot of awesome coins that we were able to find for you guys to invest in. And a lot of folks were getting some great screamer of deals, not to mention, being able to save money. That's a pretty good gig right there as well. So thank you guys for listening in on my Whatnot rant there. All right, so we're going to jump right in. Some of these might be a little bit familiar. Some might not be. There's a few pieces that are completely Greek, very brand new to the list. How about our good old 2021 Tuskegee Airmen National Park Quarter? This was the final design of the ATB series that spanned over the course of 10 years. As it turned out, there was some pretty crazy mid-errors that folks were finding on these, some pretty big strike-throughs on the reverse. That's right on the building. This one has another one here. These things had fallen off the earth, I would say about a year ago. You'd see a few pieces pop up on eBay. But now, we're starting to see more of them as we get into the holiday season here. Some of the older inventory from a few years ago, finally getting rolled up and cashed in as folks are beginning to get ready for Christmas and all that great stuff. Not to mention that this coin at one point was a $300 error. And while, that expectation is unrealistic today because, these were bound to kind of drop in price as soon as most collectors got what they needed from it. Some of the leftovers, the residual pieces that can still be found out there in circulation, I'm happy to say still very valuable. All right, so this one right here, it's a smaller strike through. This isn't like some of the bigger burning building strike throughs is what the nickname is what we've given to this in the community. We've seen larger, more impressive strike throughs. By the way, good job to the seller for really pointing out what we're looking at here. This coin selling for $49.80. Okay, not too bad. Better than a sharp stick in the eye. That's to some folks, that's a full tank of gas. So when you do find something like this, it can be a worthwhile proposition. And eBay is a great proving ground to sell coins like this, where anywhere else it'd be more like pulling teeth. You can't sell this to a coin dealer because mint errors may not necessarily be their forte. They want to sell bullion, they want to sell type pieces, Morgan dollars, things that are very easy for the public to kind of understand and consume for their collections. The next one that we have here, another nice one too. Boy, I've probably seen maybe one or two other examples over the years. 1976, this is the Bicentennial Eisenhower dollar. This one has the Type 1 reverse with the block letters, which is the much more scarcer variant. But anyways, this one has a nice little mint error. This one is another strike through, but on the Liberty Bell. That little kind of cratered depression in there, probably at one point, was a piece of fragment of some sort that was sitting on the die, and then it struck this coin, leaving that cratered depression right there on the Liberty Bell. Out of all places, that's a pretty neat place for there to be a strike through. So with the Type 1 reverse, with the strike through, this coin ended up selling for some amount of money under $89.99. And the reason why I say that is that this was a buy it now with a best offer option. And the seller, or the buyer rather, exercised the best offer feature. And there was an agreement on some sort of price there. How much it is, don't really know, because the program I use to find out what the best offer accepted prices are is currently down. So originally $89.99. There was a best offer here, but anyways, pretty cool with all the emphasis of 2026 and the semi-quincentennial event for next year. There's been some renewed interest in bicentennial coins, and that is also including any sort of mint errors you can find. Our future coin of the week coming in at number 3. Man, nicer examples of the 1999 Lincoln Memorial Cent that features the wide AM reverse is starting to go noticed now. I think, here we are 26 years later. People knew about this back 26 years ago because, the wide AM reverses also showed up on 98 and dated 2000 Lincoln Cents as well. So there was a 3-year swing there where you could find this particular reverse variant, which it's real simple. They inadvertently used proof dies to strike, or proof reverse die to strike the business strike coins. So that's why you have a wide AM variant here on these 3 dates. 1999 is the scarcest of them all. And it's the one date where it's really tough to find high quality examples. For whatever reason, there's just not a whole lot of them out there that you could comfortably say is in mint state condition. This one right here, by the way, is in like a lower mint state condition, probably like a mint state 62 if I had to guess. It, for the most part, looks like full red. There's a couple spots on the reverse, but I don't think anything that's going to particularly detract a collector that's looking for like an above average piece for their collection. In case you need a little refresher, there's the close-up of the letters A and M in America. It's got that significant gap between the two letters. That's what you're going to look for. And then, of course, there are the initials of Frank Gasparo. All right, going to be a little bit different on the wide AM reverses as well. This one, by the way, ended up selling through traditional auction methods for $146.38 with 21 total bids. Again, we used to see these under $100 here recently for nicer condition pieces like this. This one, definitely exceeding the expectations of what we normally are used to seeing price-wise from one of the more scarcer varieties of the 90s. The next one that we have here is kind of a trophy error of sorts. There's a lot of stuff going on here. with this 1964 Lincoln cent. First of all, the coin is broad struck. That's probably the part that might escape a lot of us, is the fact that the coin was at first broad struck. There were some issues with the collar here because guess what? There was also a second coin that was overlapping this, and both were subsequently struck together. Kind of crazy. And you also have some brockage in there as well. You can see cent that is also displayed on that indent area. That's what makes it a brockage, is when you have some of that residual design off of whatever other secondary coin was on top of this one. So all in all, I mean, very nice price tag here. This one scooped up for $195. This was a very quick snatch on the buy it now scene there. And, it's coins like this that if they're priced accordingly, they're priced, to collector demand, it will get bought out. There's always going to be that happy medium as long as you're able to do your research, find out, what the lowest prices are and the highest prices are, and then position yourself ideally in a certain area where it's going to be equitable and a quick sale, then you will do good. And if you use that philosophy on every single coin that you sell, again, it all requires some deep dive and research. That's going to help you sell your coins quicker. So keep that in mind. 1999, $1 bill. Okay, we do talk about currency. Currency also a big component to the collectibles market of numismatics. You can find errors and different variances as well on these notes. This one right here is a somewhat older, dated note, but by all accounts, we still consider it to be a modern issue. But in any event, this one right here looks pretty good from the front. It's got a few little like teller kind of like handling stuff going on here. It's not the perfect note, It does have a little bit of a staining right at the bottom margin next to the word 1. But when we flip this thing over, and this is where I tell folks, look at your coins and your notes in its entirety. You might miss something. Misaligned reverse print. So the sheet on the stack was misaligned, and then when it was fed into the impression cylinder for its run-up, it was not in the right place. So that registration from the print on the front to the back, completely off here, and then once it's cut, it's very evident that something is definitely going on here. This one ended up selling for $59.80. Pretty nice, okay, and always be on the lookout for these, even on the much more newer issues as well. Folks are finding misalignments and ink smears and all that great stuff. Some extra treasure to be on the lookout for, even in your wallet. We also have this 1977 50. I'm just in love with the older, smaller head design notes. They scream vintage, even though it's 45, 46 years old here. 48 years, rather. 48-year-old $50 bill is not particularly like old, but keep in mind they've been using the same varied design since all the way back 1928 on the small notes. So when we look at the reverse on this one, because the front looks, relatively normal, you're going to see that there is a secondary impression. So this is a front to back wetting transfer, which was on the impression cylinder, and it had transferred to the back of the note, when the sheet was laid on there. So this is a full 100% transfer too. It's not like one of the most impressive dark transfers, but you can see it pretty well. And everything is mirrored, by the way. And that's how you know you have a legitimate wetting transfer. This one right here is selling for a pretty substantial price at $308.99. 39 total bids this time around. Good showing there. This is not the prettiest coin ever, and would represent something that maybe would pop out of a vending machine. I know like soda machines and snack, vending machines and things like that. You throw a $5 bill in to buy a $2 item, and it will shoot out on most cases some of these dollar coins. And that's kind of where the usage on a lot of the more modern dollar coins has been in the vending industry. So there's a lot to look for. Okay, mint air is still a thing, even on the dollar coins. This is a 1979S. Susan B. Anthony, everybody's kind of like favorite coin to hate because of the design. It looks too much in size of a quarter. So this one has fooled a few people, but it's hard to tell other than the fact that it has like green corrosion or something on both sides of the coin. It's not the prettiest, but maybe this might change your mind. This depression right there on Susan B's jawline and into the neck. Another strike through, possibly, with like a hardened ball of grease with debris, things of that nature. This one right here is selling for $19.49. Converting $1 into almost $20 is the best magic trick ever. I highly encourage you guys to try it out once. You will like the results. I know I do. Now, this is one of those coins, I gotta say, you just never know what you're gonna find out there. Now, obviously, this thing is not pristine. It's not mint-state. It's been circulated. But the error here in question is actually a Jefferson nickel, 1964. There's just enough of the date to determine that. 1964 Jefferson nickel that was struck on a 1 cent bronze planchet. Weight-wise, it comes in at 3.1 grams, which is exactly the weight of a standard pre-1982 bronze planchet. But yeah, this thing right here, what circulated. People actually changed hands with this thing. Or this coin changed hands quite a few times based off of the oxidation and an overall look of the coin. It's got plenty of wear, to really kick it out of mid-state status. This one probably more high XF, maybe an AU50, depending on who looks at it. But anyways, these are very valuable. These off-metal strikes and all that, they're highly coveted. The nickel struck on cent planchets are one of the more common types. So there's quite a few out there to fulfill demand, but they're not cheap. This one, by the way, is selling for $324 with 60 bids. My goodness. Everybody was nickel and diamond this thing to the top. And $324 later, this thing is going to end up going to a new owner. A pretty neat piece. I've owned a few of these, and yeah, they're just really neat to talk about, especially for folks that aren't aware that this is even a thing. We also talk about older pieces as well. Older type coins, old tokens. Civil War tokens is a pretty big collectible these days. 1863 patriotic. Okay, the patriotics have, like American flags on there and, a bunch of other stuff. This is a very well-known Civil War token. But this one also a error. A very well-known one too. So when you look at the reverse, in that little kind of like secondary circle, it says shoot him on the spoot. All right, that is the error right there, is that spot was incorrectly spelled. They added an extra O. So the regular one is spelled correctly with spot. This one has spoot. Now, I will say that I've owned a few of these. They're not like particularly rare, but people will pay more and pay up for this particular variant of this Civil War token. And because of that, this one did sell for $38.83 with 11 bids. The correct spelling version probably would sell for about 30-35% less. They're easy to obtain for right around $20 to $25. The spoot version I've seen, even in mint state condition, hit a couple $100. Condition matters on some of these as well, but this has always been a really neat one to be on the lookout for. Next one up here. Okay, another wood grainer, 1920. We got to talk about at least one of these so that way we could understand kind of where the market is here. There were a number of woodies that sold here in the last day. Okay, probably when I was in the course of the investigation of finding out the coins that I want to add to the PCMR this week, I have probably come across maybe 20 to 25 what they call improper alloy mix or wood grain Lincoln cents, all selling for between like $10 to $20. So the market here is fully realized. It's very healthy at this point, I would say. What really, honestly, what will really not make it healthy is if these things shoot up way too high. I don't think we're there yet on these. There's still a lot of kind of like, discovery with these. A lot of people are trying to collect these by date. So this 1920, is a good candidate. It's a little bit tougher date too. $18.70 was what this one sold for. And talk about eye appeal, when they're double-sided, those are going to be the more desirable ones to obtain. People want full kind of like eye appeal on both sides of the coin. Woodies, you can find them just on the front or just on the back, so those do exist as well. 1975 Jefferson nickel with a folded over lamination peel on the reverse. It's right where the word United is. It's like this is a zombie coin, and the zombie's like peeling off its skin, and yeah, it's pretty ugly, but boy, do these things sell. And this one's been around the block a few times too. Okay, it's not going to win any beauty competitions or anything like that. This one ended up selling for $17.50 with 10 bids. We also have this one here too. I'm going to say, honestly, this is probably a huge giveaway here. 1945 Lincoln Wheat Cent. The coin has its issues, right? It's got, a couple big carbon spots on the front, but no one can complain really about a large cut die break right there at the base of Lincoln's bust. You can see the corresponding weakness on the reverse where it's E pluribus unum at the top. You can see that half of pluribus has been decimated as a result of the cut on the front of the coin. Now, even still, a coin like this, because it's what we call a backdate or an earlier date version of this error, these are worth more. Let's say a 1983 cut of the same type probably would be $35 to $40. The prices are very strong on these. 1945, I would assume, would be nearly double that, $80, $90. However, when you're selling these things and you didn't do your research, things can happen. Not so great things can happen. This one, by the way, the seller didn't do all the homework that they could have done, selling it for $9.89 in a buy it now. That's including shipping, by the way. So the net profit is going to end up being around $5 on this thing because they charged $4.89 or something like that for shipping. And it's also in the terminology. This is actually the listing with the title, US 1955D. They even got the date wrong. Penny folded planchet die cast error. That's not a thing. That's some made-up mumbo-jumbo words put together to make this one impressive. And it worked. They sold it for $5 plus $4.89 for shipping. Someone's going to end up with, I would say even with the condition issues, it's still like a $40 coin. Sorry to say. Someone's going to flip this thing and not feel too terrible about it. You guys can give away coins all you want, but make sure you're doing the homework. Educate yourself. So that way you can be successful when you go to, list your items like this one here. Love the photo here. Capio's coins making it happen. Another 1988 Philly Lincoln Cent with the FS 901 variety flared FG reverse. Right? These things very popular. People love these. They actually have some value. This one right here is sold for $49.99, by the way. And they can be found also on the Denver coins too. The Denvers show up more often. As a result, prices aren't nearly as strong as the Philly coins. And these are the type of pieces that, grade matters. And when you get into like full red gem kind of status, these things kind of like run away. $500 to $1,000 I've seen on these. Graded mid-state 65, 66. It's quite nasty actually. The potential, the monetary potential with these particular varieties. Always be on the lookout for these ones. You'll thank me later. 1965 Washington quarter, first year of the copper nickel clad. This one with a little bit of a shallow sheet clip right there on the right side of the coin. And they also mentioned that it's also a partial collar as well, which it could be. If you subtracted the clip, the coin will appear to be a little bit off center. So, there's probably a little bit of a partial color on the reading where it's half struck. This one right here is selling for $29.90, by the way, which is a pretty gosh darn good sell for this one. Nothing really to see here. 1995 P Jefferson nickel with a large, huge centered broad strike. All right, so the collar not engaged when this thing was struck. All the metal flow went haywire. It went like full on Play-Doh mode. So yeah, the coin is probably as big as a standard Washington quarter. And that's about what we're looking at here. $77.95. The big, large, centered broad strikes of any denomination are very collectible. And people pay up for these compared to regular kind of off-center broad strikes. This might be our last piece of currency, 1974-20. This one is a survivor right out of a fresh BEP pack. But yeah, how about that overlined or misaligned overprint on this one? The serial numbers and the seals all shifted to the right. Again, that's all due to the sheet not quite being plumb in the stack. So when it's fed into the print chamber of that press, yeah, it's not going to center it up, And very impressive. Very, very bright, bold blacks and vivid greens on this one. The reverse is nice and centered, so it's not a miscut or anything like that. You'd be surprised how maybe people mistake miscuts and misalignments. It's like two different things. This one here is selling for $294.98. That's a really, really good sale there. Not the prettiest, but understand this. Anytime you could find the doubled ear 1984 Lincoln cents, any of them, especially this one with some corrosion on the obverse, doing really well on the market today. This is the FS 101, the doubled ear, with the drawn arrow right on the coin there. Is a pretty nice touch. Still doing its job. The pictures are suitable, and you can see that really wild texturing of this guy's fingers. So thankfully they had some clean fingernails. That's kind of like my pet peeve is, when you're holding a coin and, you're trying to make some money here and you don't have clean fingernails. I mean, it's all in the presentation. If you don't have clean fingernails, you just don't give a damn, about what you're selling. So, $91.20. Do you believe that this thing's still sold for over $90 in this condition? It's like, hey, if you need a budget one and you can't find it anywhere else, yeah, this is the one you get here for nearly $100. So to kind of wrap up the show, we have a couple sales of full bank boxes of coin. As we kind of hit toward the tail end of 2025, it's always good to kind of put into perspective what you can expect to get off of especially Lincoln cents, because if it's truly curtains for the Lincoln cent in 2026, then that should have some sort of an effect on all sealed bank boxes. Now, I will say this. If you have to open the bank box to find out what the date is, please do understand you will get less money for your full bank box when the box is open. All right. Now, if you have a Loomis box or whatever, you can't really do anything about it. But if you have, what I suspect, like this listing here, I believe is a NF string box where it has the holes on them. Those you could keep shut because you could find out what the date is of those coins pretty easily. So this individual here had 5 boxes, sold every single one of them for $57. I don't know where the rationale comes in of the $6 ground advantage price here. That seems really low, given the weight of these boxes, and they're a little bit bulky too. This one, I usually charge like $12, $13, to ship a full box of pennies like this. So this person right here had no problem selling these on the cheap because, customarily, the more modern dates of Lincoln cents that are sealed have been commanding between $100 to $125 a piece, about 5 times face value. So yeah, this person quickly sold out of 5 boxes pretty easily. And they're all open, again, as you can see. 2025, all right? So here is a great comparison. These sold back-to-back September 27th, actually yesterday. You have one open box version there with really insane shipping price of $72.49. I don't know where that came from. That's stupid to charge that, because guess what? It doesn't matter how much you charge for shipping. You know, it's a really negative connotation when you're charging $72, first of all. Number two, eBay is still going to charge you fees off of the shipping price too. So, you know, there's no circumventing the process here by charging more for shipping, all the while, you know, charging less for the item. The sealed box of NF string coins, the 2025s that you see at the bottom, $180. So, yeah, pretty big price discrepancy between one and the other. If you took the delivery or the shipping fee out of that first listing, yeah, the price probably ended up selling for well under $100. And I don't know. It's not the way I would personally do it. You know, I would do like a buy it now with free shipping, which shows a lot more, I guess, you know, value to a customer when it's free shipping. 2024 Ds, right? This is the low watermark mintage wise of the current era of Jefferson nickels. I thought I'd let you know that these things getting a little bit more affordable each and every single day. So we have these two bank boxes here selling within a day apart. The one up top there is selling for $1,750 with $25 for shipping. I'm okay with that. These things are heavy. And then the second box there a day before from the same seller for $1,500. So, and from the same seller too. What a hoot. And different delivery. I don't understand, you know, again, what's happening here, because it's like the same item sold twice. So, but yeah, there's like a pretty big difference in price between one and the other, and it's only a day apart. So I don't know, but yeah, I mean, if you're still able to find these out in the wild, 2024D bank boxes, if you want the quick, easy money, especially during the holidays, yeah, just sell it, buy it now, you know. But you'll make the most amount of money selling these as individual rolls, you know, because not everybody has, you know, $1,700 to spend on a box, you know, especially when, you know, sealed rolls are right around $100 or less. And a little bit older issue here, 2010D, first year of the Shield design. A full sealed bank box here of $25 face, selling for $217.30, and that's with the shipping applied in there. There's a best offer, but there wasn't a best offer that was sent over. Someone just bought it for what it is. 8 times face value. So, yeah, first year of the Shield Sun design. It's a Denver as well, the least desirable, because the Philadelphia ones have varieties to look for. Yeah, $217 on that one there. So, yeah, there you go. That's kind of a recap of things on eBay for all of your great finds. Again, information in this video is for educational use only, not financial advice. Please keep that in mind. I'm your host, Sean, with Blue Ridge Silverhound. Thank you guys again for tuning in. A lot of fun. A lot of great stuff to be found out there. It's going to get even more progressively busier as we head into October, November, December. Everybody is going to be rolling up coin, cashing it in. Products, gifts, and things aren't as cheap as they used to be. And yeah, it's everybody's pinching pennies, and they're wrapping up, you know, coin, so that way they can afford Christmas and other holidays. That's going to go ahead and do it. You guys take care. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Come check us out on Whatnot. Claim your $15 off. That's pretty important. And I am out of here. You guys take care. Have a great rest of your weekend, and I will see you real soon. Keep on collecting, friends.